The Constitution is the highest law of the land, and not even the President can go against it. But is this the case in South Africa? Let's reflect on this with Lawson Naidoo from the Council for the Advancement of the South African Constitution. He speaks to us from Cape Town. A very good morning to you. When it comes to our Constitution, is it still reflective of the best that we can be within a legal framework and human rights work?
Well, I think, good morning. I think what the Constitution does is it sets out a vision for the kind of society that we want to create in South Africa, a society based on equality, human dignity, and the progressive realization of rights to improve the quality of lives of ordinary South Africans. So it's an important document in that respect. Have we achieved that vision? I think we are a long way from it for many, many South Africans for whom that vision is still a distant dream. But I think, having said that, it's important to also acknowledge that we have made significant steps towards the goal of the Constitution. We have a democratic society, we have a vibrant civil society, we have an independent judiciary, and we have a constitution that has been stress tested, particularly in recent times during the era of state capture, where the independence of the judiciary, the rule of law, ultimately held firm. And, you know, we will likely see people being held to account for their misdemeanors and transgressions during this period. It may have taken a long time for this to happen, but it will happen.
You say checks and balances built into our model of constitutional democracy have failed us. What do you mean?
Well, you know, some of those checks and balances, for example, oversight by Parliament. I think we've seen in the testimony before the Zondo Commission how Parliament failed to execute its oversight responsibilities and to hold ministers and the former president to account for what was happening. They simply turned a blind eye and pretended as if it wasn't happening. So that failed us. The criminal justice institutions failed us. They were weakened and led by weak leaders who were put in place to pursue a political purpose by the former president. Speaking of the NPA, SAPS, the Hawks, and the like. So those failed us. But ultimately, as I said, it was the courts, because when matters went to the courts upheld the Constitution, the rule of law, the principle of accountability, that public power must be exercised in a responsible manner in line with the law and the Constitution. And where that was found wanting, the courts were not hesitant in declaring that to be so. Should
MPs be better equipped?
Well, I think, you know, we're going through a process of discussions around electoral reform at the moment as a result of a judgment in the Constitutional Court last year. And I think one of the critical questions as South Africans that we need to address is how do we make our elected representatives, our MPs, more responsive and accountable to the electorate. Under the current system, we've seen that they are really just accountable to their party hierarchies and the party bosses, and not to the people that voted them into office. And we need to change that. MPs need to act in the interests of the people that they represent. They need to be faithful to the oath of office that they subscribe to, which is to be true to the people of South Africa and to the law and do what is in the best interest of the country, not of the party that placed them in power. So there is a lot that needs to be done in terms of enhancing the accountability of MPs, you know, even before we begin to look at how to equip them to better discharge their responsibilities.
How concerned should we be when we see Jacob Zuma, his play with the constitutional, with the Zondo Commission, the selecting of judges, the players there, Mkheng and Hlophe, and the comments that concerned you coming from Julius Malema? Should we be worried?
Well, I think we should be worried, but I think it's important to separate the two. Insofar as the comments by the former president about the independence of the judiciary, you know, this is clearly a part of an orchestrated attempt to undermine the integrity of the judiciary by people who are going to be facing the courts either currently or in the near future. These include Mr. Zuma, Mr. Magashule, and others. So I think that is a clear attempt to undermine the integrity of the judiciary, and those of us who respect the rule of law need to stand firm against that. Insofar as the processes that the JSE of the last couple of weeks are concerned, I think there is a reason for significant concern in that the kind of questioning that we saw from various members of the Judicial Service Commission of potential candidates had nothing to do with their judicial experience or suitability for office, but it was about members of the JSC using the platform to pursue factional political agendas, which should have no place in a process to identify suitable independent candidates for appointment as judges. And I think the JSC is failing the country in its responsibility to discharge the mandate that is given to it by the Constitution, to select the best people that are equipped to dispense justice for all of the people of South Africa. And the JSC, I'm afraid, has been found wanting in that regard.
Thank you very much. Good to talk to you, Lawson Naidoo. Hope you get some time off on Freedom Day today.